sorry, 11 a.m. We do our meditation at 10 a.m. So just know that happens on a weekly basis. And so you can see the topic is a very, I would say, relatable one because we all have abandoned ourselves at some point, many, many, many times. Or some of you may not realize what it looks like when you do that, right? There's some things that we definitely do subconsciously and we don't realize it. And then before you know it, you're not feeling good about yourself. Mm-hmm. Or depending on how unaware you are, it just gets you involved in the next self-abandoning moment. And you wonder, and you're just like, why am I just in this position where I'm always feeling not worthy and like powerless over your own life, right? I know that I was on a continuous cycle of feeling like I was just being like effed over all the time. And just feeling the agony, the pain of people not being able to be there for me in the ways that I needed it. And I was just always so confused and mad and angry and sad. Yeah. Hi, Lena. Thanks for joining us. It's been a while. Thank you for the high award on HAPS. Yeah, self-abandonment is coming up for us. Yeah, Hallie, what's coming up for you with self-abandonment, and yeah, what inspired this topic? Or yeah. Yeah.
Well, I think that there are obvious ways that we self-abandon.
Totally.
Through things like addictive behavior.
Mm-hmm.
And self-sabotage. And oftentimes when we're doing those things, we're pretty aware that we're abandoning ourselves, but we're, like weak in the moment, and that's what we're choosing. Maybe that's the best we can do in that moment. Mm-hmm. And then there are all of these really interesting, subtle ways that we self-abandon. And that's what I'm interested in, because for people that have been on a healing journey for a while, yes, there's still, we're always faced with the test of, are you going to like stay in yourself or leave yourself right now, in dramatic ways, in subtle ways. But the more you go along your journey, the more you kind of like build up this like momentum and resilience, where you're like, okay, I don't go out and party anymore. I don't abandon myself in that way. I'm not like doing drugs. I'm not like whatever. You heal things, you heal things. But then you discover like, oh, well, here's this other little way where self-abandonment happens. So one of the ways that Quinn and I were talking about this is when you are in a relation with another person, you're having an interaction with them, you're spending time with them, and you find that they are behaving in a way that makes you feel neglected, basically, that makes you feel abandoned, because their attention is like maybe here and not with you.
Yeah.
Or whatever, they're just not with you. Mm-hmm. And then that feeling of like, I need them to change their behavior so that I can feel okay, is a form of self-abandonment.
Totally.
When you leave yourself and you go into the other, and you're just like that, like, until they're behaving in a different way, I'm not going to be okay, when really we always have the power within ourselves to like root into ourselves, where anyone that we're with can be doing anything at all, and we can feel completely worthy, completely valid, completely peaceful, so that we don't have to like leave ourselves to go into the other, to try and change them, to try and fix them, to try and correct them. Because once you do that, you're giving your power away. You're using a lot of energy. You're being in someone else's business that isn't your business, when you can really just validate yourself and like find your own like center of gravity in that moment, and like let the person be in their process, and try not judge them, because they're doing the best that they can in that moment too. And as long as it's not abusive, abuse is a different thing. Abuse is like, okay, this, like, we're done and I'm leaving. And, if you're not being abused, like, it's an interesting practice. It's an interesting practice to do self when the person that you're sharing time and space with isn't doing self in a way that makes you feel comfortable.
Totally. Yeah, that's what a great awareness. And I love how you like kind of like broke it down. Like when you are noticing, yeah, someone that you're with not giving you the attention that you want, right? Or you're not receiving them being present with you. In that moment already, I can feel it. You're already triggered, and it's like, why are you even here? You know? And so it's like catching the dialogue that turns on when we're not getting what we want from someone. Is our energy already going into someone else? Oh, it's like that right there. Once your energy is going to someone else, are you self-abandoning? See, those are the questions, right? Am I self-abandoning myself right now? That'd be a good question to keep with you.
As soon as you're consumed with how someone else is behaving, and that's taking up all of your mental energy and your emotional energy, you've just left yourself.
Mm-hmm. So a lot of times, I know the mistake that I did, of course, learning experience, right? In the past with my codependency in relationships, so many times I would be with my past partner and they would just be on the phone. They wouldn't acknowledge me, right? And I'm already feeling not seen, worthless, not important, and all the stories would just run through and I would have a breakdown in front of them and they would just blow up in front of me. But see, already in that, I had already self-abandoned myself and I put my worthiness into someone else. And so I'm just waiting. And if I don't get it, like the story's already created, right? And you live in that for a while. Mm-hmm. And it's just this loop over and over again. Maybe at some point, oh, they apologize or you forget about it, you move on, but then the same thing happens again. So I was just stuck in this cycle all the time. And, you know, me today looking back, I would have told myself, Quinn, well, in that moment where you didn't feel seen or you felt bad, that was a moment for you to realize that it's time to be with yourself. You know, you're in this situation where it's not making you feel good and you're already watching yourself self-abandoning. So it's time to reunite with yourself. And of course, I only know what I know, you know, but if that person was live with me today, that's what I would say. That's what I would suggest. Like those feelings right there, that's you abandoning yourself.
Well, and this is why it's so powerful to be able to be alone with yourself.
Yeah.
Because when you can be alone with yourself, like literally spend time with yourself, by yourself, and do it peacefully and do it lovingly and have contentment in those alone spaces, then when you're with someone and they can't be fully present with you, you can go into that mode of like, oh, this is an opportunity for me to be with myself.
Totally.
I know how to do alone time. So in a way, this is alone time because they're not actually fully here, and that's perfectly fine. Mm-hmm. So let me, you know, do what I need to do for myself in this moment.
Yeah. Yeah. That is probably a life practice right there that can also help you heal, because for those of you, like for me, I was so afraid of being by myself, you know, and, but once that awareness comes and you know that you need to be alone and you actually arrive there, like you're doing it, you're doing the work, and you will see that it starts to become fulfilling and so needed, so needed. Back then I can almost recall, like I knew that's what I needed to do, but it's like emotionally, I was just so attached, you know, like I had already given, right? Like when we get into relationships, I've given my all to you. Like I handed my heart over to you. I've handed everything over to you. So how do I get that back? It's with your actions. It's with like actions proving to you like, oh, hey, I'm still here. Hey, self, hey. Any activity, any kind of practice that you can form where you're acknowledging yourself, that can lead you to feeling, how would I say it? You're taking your heart back. I would say you're taking more of you back that you feel that you've given out.
Instead of just like waiting, sitting and waiting for someone to see you and hear you and pay attention to you and give you attention, right? It's just like, no, take it back.
Yeah, Lena says, yeah, reclaiming yourself, right? It's the ones we don't realize we are self-abandonment. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And what's the word self-abandonment is making me think also is when we are young, because I kind of want to go there, because when we have felt left at a young age, mm-hmm. We will somehow create that story, right? And so you learn to abandon yourself because you're seeing abandonment happen.
You have a story of being abandoned, so then you play that story out.
Totally. With yourself.
With yourself, with others.
Mm-hmm.
And because at a certain point, it's like, I read in this book one time that as an adult, we can't be abandoned. Because as adults, we're sovereign beings that can take care of ourselves. And when you're a sovereign being that can take care of yourself, you can't be abandoned. As a child, you can be abandoned, you know, but we keep that abandonment story.
Yeah.
We bring it with us. And then we're just like, I'm afraid of you're going to abandon me. I'm afraid you're going to abandon me. That person abandoned me. That person. And every time we're doing that, we're actually abandoning ourselves.
Yes.
Because we're putting our safety in someone else's hands, and that's not where it belongs.
Totally. So many examples of when self-abandonment can come up, right? And we don't realize it. Yeah. Gosh, I'm trying to think of when, well, there's so many times when we've abandoned ourselves. I feel like we abandon ourselves more than, you know, in this journey of like connecting back with self, you know? Yeah. What would you say has been like the greatest lesson for you learning about self-abandonment and then returning back to you? I remember you would say things like coming back home. I remember we were on that radio thing and you described like your service or your journey of something. It's about coming home. And I loved how you put that. It's like, let's come home. Like we've left home for so long and being on this journey and and looking, right? And that's how you know too, when you're looking, you're searching, you're chasing, and you're not coming back home to you, where what you want, instead of looking outwards and like, right, traveling out there, instead of looking inside your home. Like I'm just having that visual right now where you like make it a point to come home and realize you have everything that you need at home and growing from there.
Yeah. And I think that what's interesting about this concept is that there's this fear that if we're not out there gathering people and reaching for people and making sure we have people, that we're going to be alone, that we're going to be left alone. But what I have found in my practice is the more that I just root into my own home within myself, people so willingly just want to be part of my life and part of my experience because it's safe for them, because I'm not putting pressure on them to be something for me.
Beautiful.
And then they just want to hang out with me and be with me, you know, and so there's just so much less loneliness when you reverse the habit of like, I need people or else I'm going to go crazy because I'm going to be so lonely and I can't do that, right? It's like once you trust that like actually all you need, like what you really need, you already have and you already are, that is a magnetic attractor for people to come into your field in a way that's like truly nourishing and truly free.
I love that. I love that so much. Lena says we can become the light givers. Wait, we can become the light givers instead of the light absorbers. Taking light, just absorbing. Let me just absorb. Let me not create my own. Yeah, exactly. A memory is coming up for me, and I actually wanted to make a talk about it. I was actually listening to the radio. I think it was like, you know, KZAP or something, 97.3 or 95.3 or something, and they were playing love songs. And they would say, hey, call in, you know, give a shout out to your lover or something, dedicate a song to them. And this girl hops on the radio and she talks about how she's describing this like new love that she found, this long distance, and he had asked her to move over there. And she's scared, she's nervous, but she's definitely feeling the love. Like she feels like she's like falling in love. And the radio host was like, well, she asked her something like, well, do you, well, let me ask you a question. Do you feel that you love him or whatnot? She's like, well, yeah, because I don't want to be alone. And she was like, okay, so are you only loving him because you feel alone, or you actually like want to be with him because you love him? You know, so and I was just like, oh, that's exactly what I'm talking about right there. If I don't take this opportunity, I will just be lonely. I don't want to be lonely.
Yeah.
To me, that is an indicator of self-abandonment right there.
Yeah,
You know,
totally.
yeah, it's filling in the void of being lonely and not knowing how to create a fulfilling moment with yourself when you're alone, right?
Yeah.
Like, where is you? You did a meditation today about like support and how can we feel support, and you created an experience for us where we felt supported by us and what we were able to think about and bring up, and moving from there, you know?
Yeah. One of my great tools, guiding little questions for this, is so basically the idea is that when choosing another, are you choosing yourself in the same moment? Right? So like, and this happens in every situation. Like if someone invites you to go do something with them, are you saying yes for them, or are you saying yes for, are you included in that yes?
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not included in that yes, that is self-abandonment.
Oh yeah, right there, straight to it. Yeah.
It's so simple when you think about it like
simple
that.
and so powerful. If you're not involved in your yes with someone, you are self-abandoning
yourself
because you're putting your life into someone else's hands.
You're also not doing them any favors.
Yeah.
Even if it's like painted as a favor, someone's like, I need a favor, and like you saying yes would be something really against what you want to do with your time and energy and your heart and your space. Mm-hmm. Then, you know, like it doesn't help them for you to do something out of obligation, you know, because it's actually creating tension and karma in the relationship. Mm-hmm. And there's someone else. This is the thing that I have to remind myself of all the time. Like, it's not my responsibility to do what people want me to do just because they want me to do it. And if I don't want to do it, then there's someone else for the job. Mm-hmm. There has to be.
There's always going to be an opportunity. Like you've seen it so many times, when you lose something, always something comes, you know? So if you're not the person for it, okay, it opens up another opportunity for someone else all the time. Something that I do with my clients is when they feel like they're losing something, whether it's a job, whether it's a relationship, I always have them do like a T chart where you write down what you lost or what you're leaving or what is left you, and then what you're gaining from it. Mm-hmm. And it's like, oh yeah, huh? Mm-hmm. Something always comes through, and it's up to us to like really practice discernment to take it or not. Because there's times where like I've like entered into the healing journey. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so open. But then I was like so open to so many people that I ran thin and I self-abandoned.
Yeah.
I was excited because I was doing some healing work. I was feeling good, but then it's so important to continue to like watch yourself when you were self-abandoning me. And I didn't even realize I was doing that. Mm-hmm. I was just meeting up with everybody left and right. I was so excited to meet people. And then I realized I was abandoning myself in the process. I was like, oh, there's no time for me.
This happens a lot, I think, when we start a venture, you know,
especially in the and feeling good about yourself
profession, where you're getting gratification in being of service, but that only carries you for so long, you know,
because you get burned out. Okay, you will crash.
It's called compassion fatigue. It's a real thing.
Okay, just heard that today. Mm-hmm. It's real. It is real. Because in that moment, right, you do feel good that you're being compassionate, you're being there for somebody, but then you'll feel the drainage.
Yeah.
And that's how you know, oh, have I spent time with me lately? Have I come home? Or I've camped out for a little bit.
If I've been in everyone else's life story, but haven't been in my own.
Yeah. Gosh, yeah. So feel free to, you know, share with us what self-abandonment looks like to you. We've given so many examples, right? When you are waiting for someone to give you a certain way of attention, right? When you're with them, it's like, oh, no, I'm self-abandoning there. What else did I share? Oh yeah, kind of like the same examples that I had where I was just like giving myself to someone, you know, like everything how I feel will be based on how my partner will treat me. And I would just stay too. I tried to leave, but see, at that point, you've already like self-abandoned so much that your whole identity is in someone. Mm-hmm. But there's a way to reclaim that for sure. And it's continuing to come home to you. I'll just use that. Continuing to come home to you. When you're with someone just because you're lonely,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, when you're not saying yes to you, when you're also saying yes to someone else. When you're not involved in that, self-abandonment. I love that. People don't realize that you're, wait a minute, are you forgetting about yourself? Yeah, it feels good. Or when you're being really busy being compassionate to everyone.
Yeah,
forgetting
and
about
when
you.
you're so afraid to hurt
Self-abandonment.
people's feelings, right? So you're just going along with what other people want of you because you don't want to hurt anyone's feelings.
The people pleasing.
Self-abandonment.
Yeah, self-abandonment. When you're feeling drained, you've been doing some probably self-abandonment.
Yeah.
You haven't been like giving yourself some fulfillment.
But what's really cool about all of this is that as soon as you catch it, as soon as you become aware, then you can go into self-recovery. It's like, oh, I'm aware that I've been self-abandoning. Okay, switching gears.
Yes.
It can happen in an instant.
Yeah.
You know?
Right? And now you're opening the door to that. And then, oh, okay. And then things come through with that. Right? The support. I hear all the time people say, yeah, and then all of a sudden I see this course, or all of a sudden I see this person that like is all about this. This person was in front of me this whole entire time. And then all I need to do is reach out to them. It's amazing what the shift of awareness does as you open the door of recovery. It's amazing.
Would you say self-abandonment can be avoided when we check in with ourselves and put preference first?
It's all in the practice, really.
Checking in with the self, like that's the practice. That's exactly the practice.
Yeah.
And I think that like a self-abandoning lifestyle is when you're missing that little piece of like, wait a minute, let me check in. Do I want to do this? Is this person feeling safe for me? Is this lighting me up, right? It's checking in.
Totally. Like for an example, right? I got this like birthday thing at this winery. And right now I don't feel like it. I'll just be honest, right now I don't feel like it. And so like I always tell myself this, if I, want to stick to my yes that I said to them, I need to say yes to myself before I go and do that. So that's a way that I self-check. If I know there's something coming up that I would like to show up for, but then currently right now I'm not feeling it, I know that I need to create space for myself. I know that I need to have a self-fulfilling practice. I know that I need to say yes to me before I just like forget about me, continuing with my self-abandonment, and then like self-abandonment myself even more, saying yes to being there for others, right?
And that's another, I think, important piece is part of not self-abandoning is giving yourself the ability to change your mind, right? Because you could have actually said yes and felt yes on Tuesday, but now on Saturday you're like, you know what? That isn't in my alignment today.
Yeah, and
anymore.
And you'll know it too,
You'll know it because you will feel dread. That's how you will know. You'll be dreading the thing.
Yeah.
And dread is a very clear sign. And if we're feeling dread, but we do it anyway because we told them that we would, and we have some type of moral code that we can't change our mind, That
would be the tester for your friends too.
Yeah.
Like if someone expressed to me how they were feeling, what they were going through, and they couldn't make it, like even though they said yes, like I give them full permission to say yes to themselves. Because hello, what good would it do if someone's showing up to a gathering, maybe even an intimate one-on-one thing, when they're not feeling good?
Yeah.
Right? So I'm giving people the opportunity to stand up for themselves and communicate and have love for each other, right? And that's how you know if your friends really love you. They really love you. They will want the best for you regardless whether they're involved or not. Yeah. Yeah, self-abandonment. The cure is self-love. Hello. So a lot of times, right, when we are feeling the misery, feeling the self-abandonment, we know it, but it's hard to fully commit to ourselves. So we have a workshop coming up called Nice and Slow. Slow and Gentle.
Slow and Gentle.
Slow and Gentle. I do it. Slow and Gentle coming up. So visit our website. Yeah, I'm excited for this one because there's a way to be gentle with self and still do self-love. So we're excited to host that this month. And as always on Saturdays at 10 a.m. we do meditation, and then we go live at 11.
And the way that that theme relates to this theme is that like who is it? Is it Lena?
Mm-hmm.
What she said about checking in with yourself, like that's a slowing down process.
Mm-hmm.
And we're, you know, it's like if we don't have the remembrance to slow down, we're gonna miss a lot of our own cues.
Totally.
And so this workshop is gonna help us like get more into a mode of coming home to ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's on the 20th at 6:30. So yeah, self-abandonment, it's a big one.
It's a big one.
We see it everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere, amongst our peers, amongst ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And just know that we're here to support you through that.
We love you. Thanks for being with us.
Yes, good seeing you, Lena. Hi to anyone that's watching the replay. We will see you next week. And if you have any questions, just slide through in our DMs, all right, on our social media. So just put Self-Love Exodus and you will find us. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. See ya.